When you think of Douglas MacArthur, you probably picture the legendary God of War with his signature corncob pipe and aviators. But the real story? He was actually the most arrogant Nepo baby in American history. This is a guy who had the nerve to straight-up disrespect President Roosevelt during a White House budget meeting. That level of audacity didn't come from his battlefield heroics. It was bred into him from day one by a massive, high-society dynasty that pulled every string for him. In 1899, when an 18-year-old MacArthur stood at the gates of West Point, he wasn't fighting that battle alone. At the time, West Point was the ultimate dream for the nation's elite. MacArthur crushed the written exams, but his medical report was a total disaster. That's when the woman behind the curtain, his mother, stepped in. Coming from a powerful Southern family, she was a master of political lobbying and showed everyone exactly how privilege works. She marched straight into D.C., flashing her husband's medals, and bypassed everyone to get into the Secretary of War's office. And just like that, MacArthur's path to West Point was cleared. When he graduated with near-perfect grades, the public hailed him as a once-in-a-century genius. But few realized his genius resume was carefully cultivated inside a greenhouse of pure power. During World War I, while other generals were hesitant to hit the front lines in Europe, MacArthur saw his opening. For him, it wasn't just a war, it was a pre-packaged promotion tour orchestrated by his family connections. By the time he was 38, he had already secured the rank of brigadier general. The reason he dared to ignore the White House and talk down to the president was simple. He was backed by a massive web of influence that had dominated the U.S. military for over 50 years. His life wasn't a pull-yourself-up-by-your-bootstraps success story. It was a masterclass in how the elite use privilege to rewrite the rules. MacArthur definitely had ambition, but without his mother's political schemes and his father's legacy, he would have been nothing. He would have just been another arrogant, over-the-top student at West Point. Success handed to him on a silver platter fueled a toxic level of ego. This arrogance blinded him to the reality of the battlefield and convinced him he could puppet the president forever. But when he faced the Chinese army on the Korean battlefield, his entire logic collapsed. President Truman eventually served him a cold reality check with a termination letter. The ultimate lesson? All the connections in the world can't save you from a reality check that hits like a ton of bricks.